The first airlift of Syrian refugees organized by the Canadian government is underway. A Royal Canadian Air Force jetliner is in the air. It is heading to Toronto as we speak. The plane is due to arrive. We heard it's scheduled for 9:15. We hear it may be a little later than that. In any case, the Prime Minister of the country, Justin Trudeau, is expected to greet them upon arrival. My next guest will be there as well at Pearson Airport in Toronto tonight. Safwan Choudhry is the national spokesperson for a group called Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. It is the largest community group in Canada. The group is sponsoring dozens of families and helping them integrate. He joins me now. Safwan, first of all, you were at the airport earlier today working on logistics. What are you doing exactly?
Well, there's a lot of updates and logistics and who's going to be where, which, especially as we know there's a new terminal being opened. And we were there last night as well to welcome the 2 refugee families who came. So there's been a lot to take in. It's been a very positive, and there's such a buzz at the airport right now. Okay, so what will happen once they get off that plane? Take us through it. So the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama, which is one of the largest Muslim communities in the world, is united under a single leader, the Caliph Mirza Masroor Ahmad. We have 80 chapters across Canada, from Newfoundland to British Columbia, and we're sponsoring, as you mentioned, dozens of families. So as the families will be coming off the planes tonight, A, we're sponsoring them, but B, we're also launching a national initiative to partner with Canadians to help these refugee families better integrate. Everything from providing them transportation, accommodation, cultural classes, language classes, getting them familiar with our public transits, something as simple as, helping them decide which NHL team to support. Well, that's decisive. That's going to be divisive. Exactly. And our weather here is obviously very different for them. Our community, decades upon decades, has the experience as we came to this country as refugees to escape persecution. So we know how faith-based persecution and for a refugee to come to a new country, how it feels. So we feel really up to this task, to this challenge of working with these Syrian refugees to turn them also into a Canadian success story, like all the refugees before them. Right. And what do you mean by a Canadian success story? What's your definition of that? I'll use the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama as an example. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community, who's heavily persecuted in Pakistan, came to Canada to escape that persecution many decades ago, and today has become one of the most robust, successful religious community. And we feel that it's only incumbent upon us to help these families not only integrate into Canada, but become part of the Canadian fabric. We know, based on studies upon study, that the net positive return of refugees always outweighs the challenges in the beginning 10 out of 10 times. Yeah. So we're really looking forward to, I'll give you a small example. I myself have had the chance to meet some of these families, to speak to some of these people. Mm-hmm. You were there last night, in fact. That's right. Yeah. And seeing the looks on these kids' faces, I will never forget this memory for the rest of my life. It's something I plan to cherish with me forever. The excitement, them holding these Canadian flags. And one of the things that the father said in Arabic, and then it was later translated, is, "We're so happy to be in the land of freedom." Something that us Canadians don't often think about. Yeah, will that be a challenge for people, Safwan, in your experience and with the people you've been talking to and these families last night? I mean, they're coming from Syria, a place where you couldn't speak out in public. The government controlled everything. What will it be like to be able to walk around, to speak out against the government if you feel like it? Any number of things they're going to have to get used to. It's astonishing to observe them as they feel that they're coming into this land of freedom and equal rights, and the freedom to practice their faith and to speak up on what they have in mind. But the interesting piece is, one of the biggest things that they keep talking about in my conversations in the 12 or so families we have already resettled in the last few weeks is they want to be part of the Canadian fabric. A lot of the conversations have been about how quickly can I find employment. I've met about 3 or 4 of them who've already found jobs. They want to be on their own 2 feet. The kids want to go to school. They're just excited to become part of the day-to-day Canadian life, to start a new chapter and practice their faith and get out and meet Canadians. And I welcome all Canadians to don't be shy to meet them, because it was fairly surprising for me to see that though they don't know English, how open they are and how much they want to reach out in whatever form of communication, whether it's hand gestures or whatever they're saying in Arabic.
Yeah, English language classes, a big part of the integration for sure.
It is, especially, you know, I mean, we often see that children typically will pick up the language fairly quickly. The adults are the ones who we've already set up some classes, not only English classes, but employment enrollment, how our banking system works, how to apply for credit, how to apply for, how to find even accommodation, because a lot of them, while they're in temporary accommodation, they're ready to move on into their own apartments, to rent their own houses, and get on with their new life.
Yeah, and get their children into school, as you were saying. How quickly can they do that?
You have to keep in mind that a lot of these people, they're not, well, actually right now, no one is coming from Syria, so they've been displaced for days, weeks, sometimes even years. One of the families that I met, they had left Syria more than 2 years ago.
Wow.
And they have been in and out of different camps. And one of this 19-year-old was telling me that, look, I didn't even get a chance to properly graduate out of high school. So how can I get into a university here? And you know, providing, so we're partnering with a lot of educational institutions to help guide us, so we can then equip these younger children who are also coming in.
All right, Safwan Choudhry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Safwan is the national spokesperson for Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. He is in Toronto.